Hello there, and welcome back. Today I'm really excited because one of my favourite bands has come out with a new album, and it's time to sit back, talk about it. And with a juicy tones like that, you can start to get a bit of a vibe for what I think about the album so far.
Hello there.
But to put it into words, I quite like the album. As with any Foo Fighters project, I quite enjoyed it. It was easy to get behind. But in contrast with some of the other projects I've spoken about recently, it took me a couple of listens to properly digest the content and engage with it. So, as per usual here, let us grab our hot caffeinated beverages, sit tight, and get ready to cut the brass tacks and get into business.
Very nice!
As you can see, I am equipped with my flamboyantly coloured jumper, my baseball cap, my unidentified wristwear and baggy trousers, and I am completely ready in my millennial outfit to discuss the Foo Fighters. So the first point of contention I developed is as I looked the album up to physically listen to the material, as Google does, it just pumped me with all these articles and ads and shit, with a lot of reviews, which, reading through some of them, were pretty negative. The terms pedestrian, safe, unimaginative were sort of tossed around in a bit of a cesspool of weird reviews. But at the end of the day, like, if you look at the scores, it's kind of like IGN reviews where they just talk shit about something for ages and then they give it like some made-up star rating or numerical value, which seems to not reflect the thoughts expressed in the article so far, but, you know, that's a matter for another day. And you see, when I listened to the song this morning, I had just gotten up quite early because I needed to attend my lectures, and I was still a bit groggy, so I had the lovely opportunity to not be fully mentally engaged. And my first listen through, to be fair, I wasn't that receptive of what the project was. I didn't love it that much, and I kind of thought, oh, this is a bit pedestrian.
Stop right there, criminal scum.
But then I listened to it again, when I was a little bit more with it, and I think I managed to engage with it a little bit better on the second listen, and then even more so on the third listen, and I'm noticing that every time I'm listening to one of these tracks, I notice new things that kind of get me into it. So in a way, I think I could easily argue that from my point of view, some of these reviews that are just rushing out to get the clicks haven't really engaged with the material as well as they could have to, you know, just enjoy the music. And frankly, for a group which has achieved a level of fame almost unparalleled, with a frontman like Dave Grohl, who's basically just an adorable teddy bear, with 10 studio albums under their belt and tours everywhere, and frankly I've never heard someone say, oh, you know, I can't stand the Foo Fighters. So I mean, you know, let's be real. I think they know what they're doing, to the point where they're not exactly going to produce shit. However, if they do produce shit, like, we should totally call them out on it, instead of pandering their bottoms and just applauding anything because it has their name on it. But as we should call out Brown when we see shit, we should also give our respects when respects are due. So I engaged with the album quite well, and to be fair, even if there were a couple of moments in the low points of the album where those initial kind of thoughts of, oh, this is a bit safe, or this is a bit, I've heard this before, or this or that, kind of came to my mind, I always fall back on Oscar Wilde's lovely thoughts of art for art's sake, where the thirst in the modern market for musical complexity tends in occasion to go a little bit beyond reason, completely excluding simplicity for the sake of simplicity. So, to be fair, I consider a lot of these songs to be a refreshing palate cleanser, if that makes sense. And I think that we shouldn't underestimate that. Tying into this concept of arts for art's sake and the enjoyment of art, a more serene and engaging side of things, I did get a lot of vibes of 80s dance music and kind of funky vibes to it. Frankly, the proof of what I'm saying is the fact that I popped these songs up to a couple of friends of mine who I know don't really listen to much rock and roll type music, and their first instinct to couple of the songs where, oh shit, this is funky, this is groovy, I can get behind this. And these songs specifically were Cloud Spotter and Making a Fire. But it's not just those two. You can hear that underneath the top layer of the guitars, there's a lot more going on with regards to quite interesting and fun melodies, which is why I went on that massive spiel about properly engaging with the song. Because on a surface level, yes, the guitars are really loud, and you get that typical power chord, high gain, Foo Fighters type of riff carrying the song. But if you actually pay attention to what the fuck is going on, you hear all these fun little trinkets added below to actually give the music some body, and I think that's really fucking cool. So moving on, these Rolling Stones, David Bowie, and sort of glam rock dance music influences that definitely kind of went into this palate cleanser, as I called it before, I would argue that there is definitely an innovation of tone here, but not necessarily with regards to the guitars, which is why I'm clashing against some of the reviews I saw. You don't need to necessarily perform a somersault with your guitar tone to change the flavour of your music, so, you know, like, I commend them for staying true to themselves and finding a new way to express themselves, if that makes sense. And I think this is epitomised in the song No Son of Mine, which I have heard and I've understood that it is a dedication to Lemmy from Motorhead, who is massive, unspeakably significant influence on a lot of artists, such as Dave, well, I mean, myself, and probably anyone who's into this sort of music. And I really enjoyed that specific track and the variation dynamics that are kind of added to the album as a whole. Frankly, haven't heard a gallopy rhythm in a pop song, if you can define Foo Fighters as pop at this point in time, in such a lapse, in such a period, that I found it really refreshing, and it was kind of fun to get behind them. And it was so fun, I couldn't help but picking up the guitar and trying to put together how to play it and kind of tag along with the gentlemen who evidently were just having fun. And the teachings of Lemmy call us back to that concept of art for art's sake, and they call us back to that concept of fun and passion and art, because that specific song, within its homage to Lemmy, just carries the concept of attitude. You know that sort of idea where you don't have to sound great, but if you act as if you're some sort of gift of God, people are just going to gravitate towards you? I mean, it's true. I mean, it is, you know? So, yeah, those are the general thoughts. I think the album's really good. Just need to engage with it and give it a chance to take you away with it. And I think it's quite fun. And in their 10th studio album, after 25 years of being together, frankly, I just commend these blokes as musicians for still coming up with new ideas. And I will admit, I am a bit biased. I think that Dave Grohl's guitar tone is one of my favourite pure guitar tones, if that makes sense. I don't exactly know why, I just respond to it quite cleanly for some reason. You know, it's not too much gain, it's not too little gain, it's a bit dirty, you can still understand what's going on, it's just fun. And frankly, since I used to play the drums, I still enjoy the dynamics that he offers and the different perspective. So, yeah, those are the thoughts. That's it. Hope you enjoyed. You know what to do. And stay tuned.